I want to take a few people who disagree with stuff. I always find those interesting. Chafiq says, "Hey guys, new here and happy to join you passionate people. I have a question based on what Keon said on a recent podcast. You said that you weren't keen to get an old right winger. Funny because I thought about it before I heard you, and I disagree with you because of one reason, Rodrigo. I think an old winger is a better choice than a winger like Gnabry. Mahrez, for example, is a perfect choice to me if you put aside his probably non-EU situation. He's 31, and I think it is what could benefit Rodrigo the most. Mahrez is in his peak. He learned a lot with the most amazing tactician in the world, and he's a pure left-footed right winger that recently developed his right foot to be efficient. So, Lucas, where do you stand on this?
I've always thought that it didn't make sense to target a player like Gnabry because, as Safik says, I think that he could potentially hurt Rodrigo's development. I would be a little bit more comfortable with signing a quality player a bit older for the next 2-3 seasons, so that Rodrigo can still have patience, and the club can still have patience about Rodrigo's development, because that veteran player still gets the job done. I'm not that comfortable about that player being Mahrez. I'm not that high on Mahrez as a player to bench Rodrigo on a consistent basis as early as next season. I think they are quite similar players in terms of their quality and skill set. As not skill set, obviously they're very different players, but in terms of their quality and potential right now, I think they're too close for me to make Mahrez a priority for Real Madrid. I think that if you don't have a clear cut better player than Rodrigo, you just have to face the season with what you have at the moment.
That's interesting because I actually think, ironically, Mahrez is good enough to justify benching Rodrigo. But he is also 31. I think the idea. So let me clarify my stance. Also, I think it's important to be very cautious with older players. For the if they're on the wrong side of 30 and you give them one last big contract, that's historically speaking, that doesn't really go down well. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. In Zidane's case, it went down well. In Hazard's case, it obviously didn't. I also, for that reason, I'm very, very skeptical of signing someone like Salah, for example. That last big contract to a 30-year-old is really dangerous. Mahrez would be a big one, but I think where an older player, quote unquote older player, would fit. And by the way, actually, I think Mahrez would be an upgrade over Rodrigo, but I think an older player would fit in specific situations where he doesn't really care about playing time and he's just there to provide. So, for example, I saw a rumor the other day that we might sign Edin Dzeko. And whether you think that's realistic or not is not the point. I actually think Dzeko would be a decent signing because I think
me too.
He's the type of sweet spot. He's not like a young Casilla Park who needs playing time. He's not in that zone of Mariano and Jovic where if he doesn't play, his whole career is derailed. He just wants to probably be a part of a championship. Mm-hmm. And he's gonna probably not complain because he's coming here to accept Benzema's backup role theoretically if that was even on the table. And I think he would be a good sign. That's the kind of old player that makes sense to me in this situation.
Absolutely, yeah, agree.
Mahrez, but I still
agree
would want
with you when you say. I agree with you when you say that Mahrez is an upgrade over Rodrigo at this point. But again, my whole point and my whole issue with this signing is how big of an upgrade.
Yeah.
Is it worth it to sign Mahrez to? I don't know. And if you sign Mahrez away from City, he probably requires to be in the 15 or at least in the 10 million euros a year range. And I don't think he's that big of an upgrade for Real Madrid to give him that kind of contract, to be fair. Considering transfer fee, obviously, if he were to be a free agent right now, we're talking a different situation. But if you want him now, you will still need to pay a transfer fee. And if you wait another season and sign next year, that might actually be too late because Rodrigo has had another season under his belt, has developed and all that. So next season is probably already too late for him and Gnabry. You need someone for this, but maybe this season. And I don't think Mahrez is that big of an upgrade for me to consider, I don't know, a 50, 60 million euro transfer fee and a 10 million euro contract per year on a 4, 5, possibly 4 million 4-year deal. Sorry, so this is my issue.
I think it's a fair concern. And again, I think if you put Mahrez in this team, does he make the team better? The answer is yes. Does he fit like a glove on the right wing? In my opinion, yes.
Yes.
What are the long-term ramifications of two things?
Exactly. Could the team be compromised 3 years from now because of that?
Yeah.
Because you've heard Rodrigo's development. You have Mahrez's contract on the books for, I don't know, 2 or 3 extra seasons when he's already in his decline and all that. So that's the ramifications I'm worried about. I think he's short-sighted to focus on players like Mahrez or Salah at this point. I think it's a bit short-sighted, and you have to think a little bit more about the future and the ramifications of hurting a little bit Rodrigo's development, and also having those huge contracts on your books when those players might already be on their declines in, I don't know, 2 years' time.
Yeah. If you unless somehow you were able to pull off like right now his contract ends in 2023. Unless somehow you were able to pull off this crazy deal where you only had you could only get him for 2 years, a 2-year contract or something.
That's impossible.
It's impossible because I'm not really that excited about having a 34-year-old, 35-year-old, 36-year-old Mahrez on the books.
Yeah,
that's where my concern kicks in.
That's what it takes, though.
Yeah,
I mean, these players, these players and their agents don't accept. When you're 31, they don't accept a 2-year deal. No chance. They 4 years is the minimum. Yeah.
Jiboyega says, assuming you guys weren't Real Madrid fans, would you really disagree with Khalifi's suggestion that Real Madrid shouldn't be able to participate in the Champions League if they're so intent on creating a parallel competition and leaving the Champions League? I wouldn't. Saying otherwise would be hypocritical.